All right. So yesterday, I put a tweet out on Twitter about um, a former fighter by the name of Prichard Colon. Now, there haven't really been too many stories, man, like in the sport. And anybody who knows me knows that I'm not just a fan of the sport, like I live it, like the things that I've learned being involved in the sport, I translate into life. Like you'll always hear me say, man, that you know, boxing is the perfect metaphor for the things that we go through, you know what I'm saying, in our lives just in general. And the thing about Prichard Colon was his story was just one of those things that always stuck with me. Now, I was watching the fight in question where I'm going to get to, but let me backtrack a little bit. So I put a message out on Twitter, and it's on the screen. And it's because I've never really forgotten about Prichard Colon, and I will never ever forget about Prichard Colon. But I started seeing all of the messages and stuff that were coming in from members of the ESBC community, members of just the boxing community as a whole. And it really seems to be catching the attention of, a lot of really important people. And as the messages kept coming in, my phone has been going off like crazy. I keep getting alerts and stuff. But I felt like something just kept pushing me to say, look, man, just you're a content creator now. Like try to use your platform to do something good. So I had completely different content planned for today. As a matter of fact, I just recorded the first piece of that. And then I saw an alert that came through from Twitter, and I completely just stopped everything I was doing and just started recording this one. So what I want to do right now is I want to let everyone know the story of Prichard Colon. All right. The best that I can do it. I'm pretty sure there's somebody out there who has a documentary or something that can do it far better than I can. But I will do the best job that I can, specifically for people who may not know who Prichard Colon is or why I personally want Prichard Colon in this game. All right. So who was Prichard Colon? I want to give just a quick back history of who Prichard Colon was. So I pulled this from a site called playersbio.com, and I want to just read it straight word for word what they have on there. So Prichard Colon is an American Puerto Rican born former professional boxer. He also was a gold medal champion at the 2010 Pan American Youth Contest in the 64 kilogram, so 141 pound group. Now, Prichard Colon, as a professional fighter, was undefeated. He was undefeated in his career. That is until his final fight, and we'll get to that. Now, I never got to meet Prichard Colon, aka Dig It is what they called him in the ring. So, but anybody with an eye for boxing at all knew that this man was going to be special. In his amateur career, I believe he had a record of like 171 and 15. Like he was just like the kid was just he was special, and everybody knew that he had what it took to really get to the top level of the sport. Like he was just that talented, and he was going through. He was knocking people out. He was fun to watch. He was everything that you really wanted to see, in a fighter. And then disaster strikes. As we say that, we don't play boxing. We say that for a reason, and that's because literally anything can happen in this sport at any time. One punch literally can change your entire life, not just the trajectory of your career, but literally your entire life. So Prichard Colon ends up getting a fight with an opponent by the name of Terrell Williams. Now, Terrell Williams was supposed to be a major step-up fight for Colon. And when I say it was a good fight, man, but the tragedy of the fight is what really just puts a stain on it. And the boys, they were going at it with each other. It was a really hard fight where they, and ultimately they both ended up getting penalties during the fight. Colon received one for a low blow, and honestly, I don't blame him at all because of what Terrell Williams was doing. I would have hit him in the nuts too. But there was just this excessive amount of rabbit punches from Terrell Williams to the back of Colon's head over and over and over again. And it was just, there were so many opportunities for, that type of stuff to kind of like get stopped. The referee didn't necessarily step in as much as people would have liked. He didn't step in as much as I would have liked. The ringside doctors, there were a lot of things that should have transpired during that fight that really didn't. So when Colon hit him with the low blow, I didn't blame him because he kind of took things into his own hands. It was a little bit out of frustration too, I'm sure. But I think if most of us was in his shoes, we probably would have done the same thing. So I don't, no harm, no foul for him there. But then you get to the 9th round. Now, during the 9th round, Prichard Colon took a couple of really hard blows to the back of the head again from Williams. And the end of the round comes and Prichard doesn't come back out for the 10th. The 9th round is literally the last round that we saw Prichard Colon active. And this is where, like, being around the sport for so long, being so active in the sport for so long, this is where you really, like, all of that comes to play, because you can look at Prichard and you can tell that something just is not right about him. That those rabbit punches were taking effect. And to any general fan who was watching the fight, the punches to us would not necessarily look like they were that hard. They wouldn't look like they were really having the effect that they were actually having. But this is why it is illegal to punch someone in the back of the head. So Prichard Colon doesn't come out for the 10th. And then you start hearing the extra reports. Prichard Colon is vomiting in the back room. Prichard Colon is suffering from lightheaded. He's dizzy. And he's just really kind of disjointed. Time goes on, and then you hear that Prichard Colon has slipped into a coma. And then you hear that Prichard Colon has been in the hospital for 221 days, I think is what it was reported. And just like that, in just a matter of 9 rounds, an individual's entire career, their, like, everything outside of his life was literally taken from him. While his fans, family, friends, everything watched. And he still fights to this day to be what he was the last time we saw him in the ring in that 9th round. We've heard reports that, I mean, he's moving his eyes now, he's moving his head, he's got some movement back in his hands, and it's like it's everything that you want to hear from a tragedy like that, I mean, ultimately you want to hear that he just woke up one day, he got up and he's walking and he's himself, that some miracle strikes. But those things aren't realistic. They're the things that you pray for. They're the things that you hope for, but they're the things that ultimately aren't the most realistic. And when I saw that picture yesterday, he received a belt from the WBC. You see, he's got a nice little flashy watch and stuff now. And it's like, with this new boxing game coming out, eSports Boxing Club, it's been almost 11 years since fans have had the ability to take a fighter virtually into the ring and play out their career. Steel City Interactive right now has they have a grand opportunity for past fighters fighters who have lost their lives in the ring, fighters like Prichard Colon, whose careers were snatched from them because of tragedy. And I'll tell you, look, this sport has always saved. It's saved more lives than it has taken. But regardless of the fact, having the ability right now to immortalize fighters in the virtual world and allow fans, family, and friends to help move your career along in the virtual space is an absolutely beautiful thing. So yes, I'm asking, and I hope someone else asks. I hope that Twitter post goes as far as it can get, and I hope it reaches the right people. I hope there are people out there who see it, who have stronger voices than I do, that advocate. I honestly don't know if Steel City has reached out to the Colon family. I have no idea. They could have very well have done that already, and that would be absolutely amazing if they have. But I'm asking personally for Prichard Colon to be added in eSports Boxing Club. I think that he has fought and has continued to fight, and I believe that he, his family, his friends, and his fans have all, at this point, earned it. He didn't get that WBC belt for nothing. So that's what I have for everybody. This one was not like the typical content I put out, but it was kind of sitting on me. So I figured I'd go ahead and do it. Hopefully, again, it reaches the right ears, and hopefully sometime in the future, we hear that Prichard Colon has been added to eSports Boxing Club. Look, I said it before, if he's added as DLC, he's guaranteed to get my money. So for all the fans, the friends, and the family out there from the Coach's Corner, I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace out.